Today's guest holds one of the top positions in WDA sports and knows his way around a foosball table. Joining me now is Minot Athletic Director Mitch Lunde. First of all, man, you've been in this position at a couple spots. What made you want to be an AD first and foremost?
Well, I think I've been one of the lucky ones where I knew right away what I wanted to do. I wanted to be involved with education and coach, and my mom was a teacher, and I was lucky enough back in the Mohall days to have a lot of influential coaches and teachers that helped me and made me want to do this. And so I've known from a long time I wanted to be in education, and then from there it just kind of evolved where I was a elementary ed teacher, taught second grade in Killdeer, and coached, and then moved down to Nevada when I got married, and coached down there, and then I got my administrative degree and kind of moved into the principal AD role, and then it just evolved into obviously just being the ADs with the activity directors positions at Minot High. So I always tell people that what I miss the most about being a principal and things is I just miss being around the kids. So those are great memories that I had, but I've always enjoyed this job that I have now.
Who had that influence on you back in the Mohall days that kind of made you have this career decision?
Well, it's funny. I mean, again, I was very lucky. Mr. Wardner, Rich Wardner, who's a very high up guy in the legislative of North Dakota, the state government, and then Mr. Ranum, who's had high jobs that he's done, were my coaches in Mohall. But probably most important was Mr. Ed Lockwood, who just got inducted actually in the National Hall of Fame as an activity director. There's only like 20 of them, and he's one of them. And he was my high school football coach, and his son was one of my best buddies, and so I always kind of wanted to be like him and do things like he did. It's a pretty amazing story about where he was in Mohall at 46 years old and wound up being in the National Hall of Fame. So he's probably one of the main influential guys. But I had a lot of people, a lot of teachers. I've always just enjoyed the education aspect, and I enjoyed all my teachers, and just enjoyed just being around the atmosphere.
Sounds like you had a bunch of good ones around you growing up there, and always going to be fast times when you're the AD at Minot High, of course. So even with the timing of today, I just want to get into kind of some of your notable hires that you've had recently. Hiring Chauncy Hendershot to be the head coach of the football team, Jason Schwarz for girls basketball. What kind of went into making the call for both of those jobs?
Well, with anything, you look at, obviously you open the position up and you find out who's interested. And both Chauncy and Jason are students of the game, enjoy the game that they coach, want to get better, and bring a passion that we're I guess I was kind of looking for, and how do we get better all the time, and replacing Chauncy, for example, with Mr. Holman, Coach Holman. He's one of the best of all time. I mean, that guy knows his football and knows how to treat kids, and so just like anything, Chauncey's had a tough go with. The day, I think 2 days after we hired him, we announced that we, had distant learning for school. So he just finally now being able to even start really even seeing kids face to face. So, but just like with anything, you want that passion, you want that care about kids, number one, and doing what's best for them and give them opportunities. But at Minot High, it's still competitive, and there is very tough decisions that have to be made. There's only so many kids that can make the team and such, so you still have to, unfortunately, make some very tough calls.
Hendershot and Schwarz are both internal guys. How big of a deal is that when you have a head coaching job come open to look at the assistants?
Well, I think you always, with anything nowadays, we you used to be able to, this isn't taking anything away from anybody, but you used to be able to call people and say, hey, do you want to, from other school districts and things. Now they need to apply, obviously, and go through the process, and you have to have a job opening, number one. We didn't have, this year, for example, we didn't have a lot of job openings as a school district, so which is good for everybody. But we were very happy. I was very happy with our applicants. I mean, I thought we had we have a lot of very good coaches in our system that have done a lot of good things in other places, and so in the big picture, obviously, if you're going to look at things, you can say, do I need to make a change the culture, or change everything about it? You hate to use that professional sports speak, but I don't think we've ever been in that spot where we just need to change everything. We try to bring in whoever is going to be the best coach. It may be the assistant, it may not be, and that's it is Minot High, so years of experience, things like that, or something we want to have. But on the last note, people think we're getting 75, 85 applicants for positions. That's not true. I mean, we're like every other school district in the state and in the nation that there is a teacher shortage, there is the coaching shortage. So.
Mm-hmm.
But we're very happy. I mean, I'm actually very happy with all our coaching staff that we have. I mean, and I'm not just saying that. We have a lot of caring people that put a lot of time and effort into getting better.
What made this offseason the right time to make the moves in football and girls basketball? Just considering, like you said, I mean, those are programs that they weren't in need of like a full teardown.
Well, that was their coach's decision. I mean, Mr. Holman, that was his decision. I don't have any.
Okay.
He could still be here doing it if that was his choice. So, same Mr. Wasser the same way. So there is no. We look at different things and do surveys and things like that determine, and we've always had good responses and use that to either just like anything, not just using those sports specific, but just like anything, we have our coaches do surveys, things like that, to get better, and that's what we use. So there's never any issues that I saw.
Got it. Okay, you just got to make the move when things like that come to your desk, Mr. Lunde, right?
Well, it wasn't a move. Like I say, using the term "make the move" isn't. I don't think. No offense.
After that happened, after they come to you and say they want to move on or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sure. So
I don't want it to be seen like they were.
Mm-hmm. So on the surface, obviously, like I'm talking to you about like overseeing an athletic department as a whole, big picture goals, things like that, making coaching decisions and all that good stuff. What's something that most people wouldn't know about being an AED from like the outside of it?
Number one, I guess there's two different things. In my position, it's from the outside. It's the biggest challenge that I have is just I'm not around. I don't get to meet the kids, and so it's very tough to, well, I'm the AD or I'm this. In smaller schools, you're around the kids all the time, and you kind of get that relationship and things. And people could say, well, you can be, but it's very tough to, see somebody a kid or a student athlete once every week, 2 weeks, and have just a trusting relationship where they trust you and things. So that's probably been the most difficult part about my position that I feel. And what people don't see is the events that we attend and I attend, and I enjoy activities. I enjoy there isn't an activity that I do not enjoy going to. Have kids that get older, I can't attend. I try to attend all their events, but I enjoy. I've never been in a school where we had soccer before. Soccer is a great, fun sport to watch. So it's one of those things where what people don't see, number one, I don't get as many parent phone calls as they probably think I do, and that's part of the most that would surprise a lot of people. Because I think by now at Minot High, it's a kind of a dog eat dog where you got to get after it. So people have learned that we trust our coaches to do what's right, things like that.
You touched a little bit on not always like being around the students within your role, but in times like this, especially with like the spring sports having to shut down and stuff, curious to see what Minot has been able to do to keep honoring the student athletes that they were seniors graduating, they lose their spring season, or just anybody in general this year. It's been different.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you try to do the social media things, and that it never gives anything due justice to what they deserve. So it's just a very unfortunate situation. I mean, we had again, social media would honor a few of honor their teams and stuff and seniors, and but again, a lot of those hadn't even picked their teams yet, so it's tough to. You're just kind of in that tough spot where it wasn't ideal, that's for sure, and we had to kind of figure out things on the fly. We wanted there was always a little bit of hope, but I can't lie and say we had a lot of hope, but there was always a little hope that we would be able to maybe start up, in late April, maybe early May. So we always had our coaches try to maintain contact and be mentors for them and positive, and try to keep them kids doing things to get better. But in all reality, it was kind of okay, what are we going to do here? And week by week, you never kind of knew what was happening. So it's going to be interesting.
If Minot High was playing their sports this spring, what would you expect like the biggest shining moments to come from across the program?
Well, I think as far as success, things like that, I think that's kind of a tough question. I mean, I would hope everybody bases what shining moments are different. I mean, you can go track and field having improved times, improved jumps, improved performances. You can go to baseball, softball, winning and things like that. Golf, shooting lower scores. Tennis, same thing as far as golf. So all those things you kind of, as I've gotten older, wins and losses are really, really, they're fun to have, losses aren't fun to have, but wins are fun to have. But I always say at the end of the day, it's about giving those kids the opportunities. And unfortunately, I've missed out. Baseball returned a very good nucleus from a runner-up at the state team. So I think they were looking forward to a great season, and as they all were. I mean, again, every season's great because it's you just get to participate and play and hang around your friends. So.
Looking back on sports that were able to be played in their own time, curious about like your previous stop in Beulah. What were some of the best times there?
Well, Beulah was a number one. Beulah was one heck of a school. I mean, it's a very progressive community, and it was a great place to be at. I was the elementary principal of 460 kids, and then also the activities director for a Class A school when I started. So needless to say, I was very, very busy, which led me kind of this role as far as just being able to concentrate on one thing. But obviously winning state, one year we won state basketball, which was huge. And just we had a very good run of student athletes, which always helps. and just good people. So, but if you look at, hiring Coach Jeremy Brandt, there's now, and he's still there. Mr. Dooley, who's the head football coach there, he's still there and made great changes, shouldn't say changes, but had success, and just bringing in those type of people. But I've always enjoyed every aspect. I mean, I think all coaches have positives that they can bring and maybe some negatives. So, you try to separate those out and hopefully work on them.
briefly talked about the Beulah football coach. I wanted to get your take on just the X's and O's of the Miners from afar these days. They look like Navy on steroids.
Well, Coach Dooley is there's no other way to say it. He's I will say it. He's a different breed. He walks to his own path. He's not a big. When I interviewed him, he kind of flat out said, I'm not a punter guy. I don't like to pass. But he uses his strengths. When we had back in the Beulah days, when we had very good wide receiver types and quarterback types. Trevor Zocker, for example. He didn't mind throwing the ball, but his game is built around 3 yards in a cloud of dust and run the same play 50 times if they're not going to stop it. And it takes a little bit of getting used to, but I guarantee if you ask the Beulah kids right now, they would run through a wall for that guy. He's at the weight room every morning at 6 a.m, every single day, Monday through Saturday. And that's what he expects, and that's why, if you have ever seen a Beulah football team, are physical and they arrive with a bad attitude. Might be the best way to say it.
That's awesome. It sounds like a true throwback, Mitch. That's fantastic. Yeah. So, talking about just some getting used to, tell me a little bit about what it was like when you tried to hit the ground running, making the move to the Minot AD position from down there. What made this choice the right one for you? And maybe some challenges of just getting adjusted to a new community when it comes to the Magic City specifically?
Well, I think I'm a Minot. I went to Minot State and things, so I've known the community and a lot of community members. So that was kind of hitting the ground running pretty, that was an easy kind of transition for me, I think. But probably the main thing I think people don't realize is that with Minot High athletics, and I didn't realize this before, is our two school system, in my opinion, really hampers our our activity programs. The continuity between, and what I'm talking about is we have Central Campus and Magic City Campus. We have 9, 10 in one grade, one campus, Central Campus right next door, and then we have Magic City Campus with our 11 and 12s. I never knew this out being an outsider, but now that I'm inside, the continuity and the being together part is very tough for our coaches to get, because you have just basically two separate schools. I'm a big believer in that. One of the things that would really help us would be, not just in athletics, but anything, would be to have two high schools. Just to be able to get our coaches to be able to talk to our freshmen during the day. A guy like Coach Holman would always say, and he never was an excuse maker, but he would see a freshman, sophomore until they were, because he taught at Magic City Campus. So it made it very difficult for, to get those relationships where you're either missing kids, or B, they need a little pat on the back or a kick in the butt. One of those coaching terms. But it's tough when you don't get to see them all the time. And I've always said when my son Brett came, and he wasn't a Magi when he was a freshman. He was a freshman, and that's what he never ever considered himself a magician until he got to be a junior, senior. How do we change that? It's we've tried many things, but it's still always going to be there's that separate campuses. We're over here, you're over there. So I think having two high schools would be huge athletically wise, and activities wise, just for opportunities for kids. But that's probably the main thing that I saw was, as an outsider coming in, like, okay, now I see there's some underlying issues that nobody else really has to deal with, that we have to come up with a solution for.
What's the best effort that you as administrators and all the coaches can make to kind of form the best togetherness when they're at two separate spots all day?
Well, that's just it. We try to include them, but then our sheer numbers, it makes it tough for a coach again when they're dealing with, we're Class A school, so I'll keep using, Coach Schwarz in girls basketball, he's got to worry about the varsity team. The 20 kids up on top, and yeah, he should be worried about the freshmen, sophomores, of course, but just the time in the day, you can't do all that stuff. Let alone then you throw in the junior highs and try to be involved there. It's a very, very time-consuming position. So, I don't know. It's been a problem. I don't want to call it a problem, but it's been an issue that we've had for 70 years at Minot High. We've always been able to, they've probably been senior dominated, junior dominated in years past and things. So when you're not, you might have a kid from a different school that has to, doesn't see another kid the only time they ever see each other is for an hour of practice. It's tough to get that relationship and things. So we're always trying, always looking at new things, but it's tough.
Want to ask like a bridging the gap type question similar to that, but in a positive light for you personally. What was it like this past winter watching your daughter Avery play varsity basketball as an 8th grader and the success that she had?
Well, anytime you watch your daughter play, I'm very proud. She's always been a fun kid to watch. Obviously, she, in my opinion, and this is a dad, but she's a very athletic kid, and she was luckily be able to make some shots and show that she can play, and I think as always, anytime you would move any 8th grader, people think just Avery, but we have other 8th graders do swimming, volleyball. Soccer. We've had kids, 7th graders, be on the soccer team, and so it's not unheard of. It may be unheard of a lot in basketball, but just being in that. But that was Coach Schwartz's and Coach Magnuson, may rest in peace. Coach, those guys' decision to make and through summer ball and showing that she could play at that level. I think she proved it. So obviously, Mom and Dad were very happy. Just to see her enjoy it, and most importantly is just the way the other kids treated her was super. So they accepted her with open arms, and can't say enough about the seniors from last year, and then just all of her teammates. So that was probably the best thing about it, was not just the games and stuff, but just how she really enjoyed watching the other kids' attitude and how they treated other people. Hopefully she carries that on.
Minot High Sports gives an opportunity for a lot of kids that go to the area private schools to compete on teams either that the school themselves doesn't offer or just with like a different numbers situation. When you look back of kids that play like Ryan for other sports or our Redeemers, and then they come and play for some Minot High teams, who has kind of been maybe some impactful players from the private schools to come play for MHS?
Oh, you're throwing me on the spot here.
That's what we love to do here.
Like I said, we've had a lot. What is it? Johannesson, the kicker, and the soccer player, things like that. We've had I'm not going to name a lot of names. Anytime we can provide the opportunities for other kids from other schools, it helps us. We have a lot of soccer players, and it's all good.
Get the tennis going a little bit.
Yeah, we have tennis and hockey, and what are the other ones? Swimming, track and field we've done. So anybody that can come and help us, but more importantly, it's not about helping. It's about giving them an opportunity to maybe run in a JV meet or play tennis in a JV meet or play varsity hockey. So wherever they can enhance their thing, they're members of our community. And one thing people don't, most people with the split schools, our coaches have a hard time remembering where anybody's even from. So, because they're from a lot of different. So it's not like, oh, he's a Ryan kid, or he's a our Redeemers kid, or he's a Central kid, or he's a Minot High kid. It's when Carla Wallen takes the cross country team, it's all right. Here we go. We're Jets. Let's who's here.
Yeah, it's not. It's not quite like Renville County baseball, like your old stomping grounds, but yeah, it's something else. Looking back and looking forward, what would you say, like, of all the departments that you've been a part of, some of the biggest achievements that you've been able to help schools get to, and where do you kind of see the immediate and years down the road future for the Minot program? I mean, what do you want to get done going forward?
Well, the last question is very simple. I mean, I just hope to get back to normal. I mean, it's
yeah.
No, I mean it's truthfully, Ben, it's going to be a very. I think it's going to be a very trying season for activities next year. We just had trying to just opening up with some of our gyms and things, but it's understandable the concerns and things. We don't need to be the leader of the pack, but we also don't want to be way behind the pack as far as activities. And I'm not talking winning and losing. I'm talking just actually being able to play and do things. So there's just so many question marks that are going to take place, I think, that are very nerve-wracking and unfortunate. And I want to be very positive about things, but on the other note, some of it's not in our control. A lot of it's not in our control. So I just really am praying that we, get 22 volleyball games in, and we get our matches, and we get 9 football games in, and get 7 cross country meets. I mean, that's if we can do that, I think I'll be dancing in the street. So it'll be very good. It'll be very good fall, and then we move on to the winter. I mean, we haven't got to, there isn't time to think about where we're at. What do we do about social distancing? How are we allowing fans? All those questions are going to be controversial. Number one, some people are going to have their own views, and understandably, some people are going to say we're moving too slow. Some people are saying we're moving too fast. So, we're going to do what's best, what we can, and move forward there. Can't remember the first part of the question.
Well, yeah, that kind of plays too. Well, you said earlier that, you don't get as many calls as people might oft believe from the outside. But, yeah, we'll see as things go forward. But the first part of the question was, looking back, I mean, at all your administrative stops in sports, I mean, where do you kind of see some of the biggest achievements that your departments have been able to make?
Well, I think one of the best is our facilities have really grown, and it's just working together with other entities. And Minot right now has super. Our facilities are top of the line, and that's a credit to the Park District and the City of Minot and us. I mean, Dwayne Carlson will be we'll host the state soccer here pretty quick. Obviously, the upgrades that we've done at softball diamonds, and those are all things that are good. I think one of my favorite things is I was thinking about the other day is we had 44 teams come in and play fast pitch softball this summer. When I first got here, we didn't have a softball league in the summer, a fast pitch, and I asked Gerard Cedarstrom, our coach, I said, well, truthfully, how we haven't been to state, what's going on? He goes, well, we haven't had a fast pitch. Our kids only see fast pitch the first time when they're freshmen. Well, that's you're not going to be very successful, especially in that type of atmosphere. So we started the league, and 4 years later, we won the state title. So that was kind of the one of the things I'm happy for, and I've got away from it. But Thor has taken a lot of the reins, and Thor Nelson, and obviously done great things. But to have 44 teams come up to Minot, North Dakota, and play, and just love the facility, I'm very proud of just being part of a core people that kind of started. Said we need to change some things there.
And it's just that easy to build towards a state champion, right, Mitch?
Yeah, yeah, I wish. But a lot of other things are just trying to make things easier for kids. I'm very happy with we web stream all our games. We're one of the first ones to ever do all that. To give our parents and grandparents, people who live everywhere, opportunity to watch the Magi, and we've had support from our administration here, Dr. Vollmer, as far as people can say, well, we're maybe missing out on a couple bucks gate or something, but I'm very happy that anybody can really watch our games for the most part anywhere in the state or anytime. So those are the things that I'm probably happy about.
Mm-hmm. How did There you go. Plenty of stuff. So, how did growing up in Mohall help you become the foosball player you are today?
Well, unfortunately, that Kelly's Recreation, and if you're in Mohall, North Dakota, and there's only 3 channels. 2 of them are Canadian, and one was Russ Smith. As soon as the curling came on, I was like, okay, where are we going to go? And truthfully, at Kelly's Rec, the bowling alley, we'd go hang out there, and someone broke wasn't me, they broke the machine, and so it was basically Ron Kelly said, well, I'm not fixing it, so we had free foosball for forever. Well, in those days, free anything meant 8 kids around.
Where were you on the night that the foosball machine was broken?
Wearing a black mask with black tape. No, I don't know where I was at.
Okay.
Good question, though. You got me.
Yeah, exactly. Got to make you nervous. Now, we touched a little bit about how cool it was to watch Avery play basketball. Also, your son Brett, wanted to touch on him real quick. I mean, how proud are you to see him going to West Point? That's got to be an experience for you guys as a family.
Well, Brett's been I could brag. I'm not people probably know me. I don't brag or try not to, but and they probably say, yeah, whatever. But the route that he's taken to get to West Point, he's always wanted to be in the Army and serve our nation. Joined the infantry, became a paratrooper, and they got a call, email asking if he'd want to apply for West Point. He was lucky enough to get in there, but before he could do that, he had to go to West Point Prep, and so after about 2 years of being out, he actually played football last year, and he plans on, as of this minute, playing next year for Army, and at least going out until they tell him he can't play anymore. So, needless to say, he's always been a super kid to have. Very down to earth, and has his goals, but on the same note, he loves serving his country, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Is he on track to be the first West Point guy to not have a demerit throughout his career since Robert E. Lee?
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't take after me, so he knows right and wrong. And
he might have a chance.
Takes a lot after his mother, so he has a chance. But I'm sure if he gets to the last year, he's going to have to do something to make sure he's not the only one.
I learned that on a field trip in high school, and I'm glad that was the one thing I could take knowledge moving forward a decade later for this interview.
Right.
So, exactly. Mitch, I appreciate you doing this, and best of luck. Obviously, you face an uncertain future as an administrator planning all this stuff, but wish you the best and want you to stay well as we move forward, man. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you, Ben. I think, people forget how right now our industry in the media is tough, and I appreciate you and obviously Mr. Elm, and our newspaper guys and all that they do. It's not an easy business anymore, and you guys really work your tail off. So for the Minot High kids, I really appreciate the effort that you put in.
Appreciate that, man, and shout out to Mike Elm on an incredible career for 30 years, and all those paper boys, Alex Eisen and Jimmy LaFagus. Mitch, thanks.
You bet.